Today we're looking at Chained Echoes. Chained Echoes is a turn-based JRPG with a magical, not quite steampunk aesthetic. The game takes place on a continent with 3 factions that have been in a multi-generational war. The game has you starting at a festival to celebrate a peace treaty between these 3 nations after the cataclysmic events from a year prior, which you play through in the tutorial. Past that, I feel like there is quite a bit going on narratively that it would be very difficult to say, this is a rough summary of what's going on, so instead I'll just say that some of the themes we'll be seeing throughout the game likely be politics, deception, mystery, with some magic and demons in there. In the menus, the one thing that I think I would complain about is, again, no direct resolution option. There's a screen size setting which has a ×1, ×2, and ×3. Really would like to be able to see what resolution I'm setting my windows to. On a more positive note, there is a setting for white flash, which, especially having played through, and I feel I don't mean to repeat myself on this, but having played through Pokemon Scarlet, there's a lot of places where like the amount of like flash to white is very frustrating and headache inducing. In this game, it does not feel as bad. That may be because I'm playing it on a PC, not on the Switch. The Switch is closer to my face, so maybe that has something to do with it. But having that feature there, having that setting there that you can toggle is a very nice feature to include. It does also allow you to rebind all but movement for controller and everything, all of the keys including movement for keyboard, which is a big plus for me. Anytime the game gives you more control over how you're playing the game, I think that's a good thing. The default keyboard bindings, though, are atrocious, and there is no mouse support. So with that in mind, I highly recommend playing on controller if possible, and if you're going to play on keyboard, I feel like it's absolutely necessary to jump into those key bindings before you get going, or even like after a little bit of you get going and you see what the keys are being used for, because it just feels really bad to play. Again, I hate having to play a game with 2 hands on my keyboard. It feels really weird and not natural at all. I did have, when I was going through the settings and looking for this, I did notice that actually the background image for the start menu bugged when I was exiting out of the settings. I was not able to repeat this and starting the game from that bugged menu screen. Everything seemed to be working normally afterwards, but just a thing that I noticed that I think I'll share. At this point I probably have thrown a slide of it up on the screen. Before I get into gameplay, I just want to shout out the narrative design of the tutorial leading into what I've effectively been calling the first level. You spend time in a distant event for the tutorial introducing you to 2 of the characters. They then jump you forward to modern events and have you introduced to and playing 2 new characters. This then leads into their own small little story during the celebration of a peace treaty. As their story wraps up, you are introduced to another character with their own small story, then again until all the characters have been introduced. None of these sections felt like they really overstayed their welcome or felt out of place for the narrative. If anything, it really made the way all 6 of these characters came together feel more impactful for me. Again, just really wanted to shout that out. I think it was really well done, and I love when these sort of diverging, converging narratives are done well. Anyway, on to the gameplay. The tutorial introduces us to a lot of the basic mechanics. Combat seems fairly straightforward and enjoyable. There's a good amount of depth here for me. You have a lot of different skills with a variety of secondary effects. In addition to the variety of attacks and skills, there is also a bar on the top left which acts as a sort of gauge for your tempo in a fight. You want to get the bar into the green and keep it there for as long as possible. If the bar is in the green, your skills and attacks are better. If it's in the red, they're worse. There are a variety of ways to keep the bar in the green, including using certain skills, defending, and swapping characters. This does a lot to break up the repetition of battles, as you don't necessarily want to use the same skills over and over again. You also regain all of your HP and TP after the battles. To me, this is a great feature in games, and I'm glad we're finally seeing more of it. Having to buy healing items and heal after fights was tedious and dumb. This reduces anxiety around when to heal and lets you spend more time doing the fun part of the game. So far, my biggest frustration with the game is the movement, and honestly, thank God this is all it is. Specifically when trying to enter buildings or climb the variety of climbable surfaces, it seems like it's just an issue with interacting with terrain. It does get a bit clunky sometimes. It's very peculiar about how you approach a door or how you approach the climbable surface, and it won't allow you to, again, specifically with climbable surfaces, if you are too far to the right, but like you're able to walk onto it, but I think as you're climbing it like moves your character back and forth diagonally left and right, and if you don't have enough room to move diagonally right or diagonally left, it just stops moving you. So that's one of my frustrations. Honestly though, outside of this, I think the game has been a blast to play, and I look forward to finishing it. That said, I have had the misfortune/fortune of finding so many good games, as well as seeing what games are planned to come out, especially in early 2023. Just feel like there's so many good games coming out that hopefully they will be fun to cover and play, but it is going to make playing the great games that come up like Chained Echoes a lot harder to do. So if you are a fan of JRPGs, at the price point of just $25, it feels like this game is too good to pass up, and I highly recommend it to anyone interested in the genre, and even those that are sort of like on the fence about the genre. I think that this is a great game to jump into. I don't think that it's something that's too challenging or requires too much prior knowledge of these sorts of games to play and enjoy. Thanks for watching. If you've got any comments or critiques, please comment down below. If you like or dislike the video, please engage away. If you want to watch me on my journey to hopefully not being as poor of a content creator, I'd appreciate any subscriptions. Thank you, and have a nice night.